Welcome back to the Winning In podcast. I'm your host, Max P, and I'm joined for another delicious whiskey and magic session with my friend Alex Heyer. What's going on, man?
What up, man?
And we got a lot to talk about, and drinking is probably the perfect setting to talk about all the things that we have to talk about.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And we have a special whiskey selection today. In this case, we're going to drink a single malt Dalwhinnie 15. And I picked this one, and I picked it because it's a gateway whiskey in that it's really easy to drink. It's not too peaty. One of the things you get into when you get into the single malt scotches is sometimes they get really peaty. And if you're not used to it, that's just really hard to drink. So this one's a lot more smooth, a lot more easy to get used to, and it's just really fun to drink. And Dalwhinnie is interesting because I go try to do a little bit of reading before we do this. And apparently Dalwhinnie is the highest elevation and coldest distillery in Scotland. So really hard to get to apparently, but it confers with the whiskey itself being really easy to get access to and enjoy.
I'm with this, man. I'm so excited.
So with that, I'm gonna open this sucker and pour myself a glass before you do anything else.
Suit. Sound effect.
Smells good.
It smells great, dude.
Oh, listen to that. See if you can. Nice. Cool. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, buddy. Ooh, that's great.
You like that?
I like that. Aftertaste is fantastic.
Delicious. Mm-hmm. Nice and smooth, man. Nice and smooth.
Very good. That's very good. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you for friend. Thank you.
There we go.
Oh, I love this.
Here we go. What better way to talk about drama than with delicious whiskey?
Some whiskey. Oh man, this is so good. Please drink responsibly, viewers.
Yeah, but definitely go get you some of this because it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I think for us, the drama, everyone's talking about the drama from this past weekend, but I think for us and for you especially, the drama started a few weeks ago where
good.
you want to talk about it? How that went down?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Mox Masters. I think context is so important. That was my response. Everything's context, please. Okay. So Mox Masters, our weekly tournament, is a 16-person single elimination tournament, meaning that in the first round we have to have a winner. No matter what, we have to have a winner. There cannot be a draw, and we have to time the rounds because we don't have the ability to have a long first round. We stream the tournament, and we have to pay for everything. We have to pay for the TOs, we have to pay for the streamer, like everything we have to pay for. We don't have the money. Then like the tournament itself doesn't generate enough income to be able to afford that. So the first round has to be timed to 2 hours. And the issue that came across was that if we have to have a winner and it does go to time, we have to have a sudden death rule because we have to pick a winner somehow. In the first week that we did it by life total, which is in the MTR for Magic. If there is a sudden death, highest life total wins. But in 1v1 Magic, that makes sense because life total is like usually the way you win in 1v1. But in Commander, that's not really representative of how people win the game. And I was like, players, you hate this life total thing, and because it was uproar the first week. They hated it. Everyone was super mad. So I was like, let's come up with something. And so as a group, we collectively came up with this idea of like, how are we going to handle this? And one of the things that the players talked about was like, player B, they had it. And if they had just gotten 5 more minutes, they would have won. And we feel like we should have been able to talk about it. And if they would have won, we would have just said, okay, that's person wins and they go to the finals or whatever, versus this random thing. So I was like, all right, that sounds fair. Let's give the players at the end of time a little bit of time to talk about who would have won, and then they would vote. And if there was a disagreement on the vote, then it would go to a sudden death rule, which was like, we created like 7 of them. And we're like, okay, let's just try this out and see how it goes. So week 2, I put together like this like rule procedure for sudden death. We don't even use it. We didn't even use it once, and there was no draws that week. And because we didn't use it, so that was on Thursday. Friday, a tweet goes out that talks about the procedure that I made, and they're like, "What? Look at what Mox Masters is doing. This is terrible." And the pitchforks came out, and I was like, "We didn't even use it. Like, we didn't even use
Yeah,
once."
and what's crazy is that they didn't even say Mox Masters initially, right? They just said, "Look, what clown came up with this idea?" It was basically
Yeah.
how it was posed. What idiot? Who could have possibly thought of this? Who would run a
Yeah.
tournament this way? And completely, like you said in the beginning, context, like completely left out the fact that, first of all, this wasn't a like official rule set implemented in the way for everything to move forward. It was an experiment where you're like, let's try some shit to try to deal with a very unique structure of a situation where it's just a 2-round single elimination thing where you have to end, and everyone lost their ever living minds. It was bonkers.
So Friday night, I looked at Twitter before I was going to bed, just like checking my rounds, and I saw the tweet, and it had 20,000 views, and I was like, "Oh God, this is I'm gonna wake up to a billion people saying I'm an idiot." And so when that happens, and this is just like a good PR tip if anyone's ever interested in like how to handle crisis control, it's good to provide your like viewpoint as non-biased as you can be. Granted, you're probably gonna have your feelings hurt, but if you can at least provide, hey, here's the context to this situation, and even if you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. That happens. And if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. Like, it is what it is. But like taking a little bit of initiative, and for me, I posted a thing and I was like, hey, her original poster of this, I would appreciate if you were to provide context, because it's not us making this one big rule change forever. It's us trying out a draft. And this was a community build. This wasn't just one person doing this. Anyways, I posted that, got dumpstered on Friday day and Saturday on Saturday. Oh my God, it was crazy. But it was good though for me. I like criticism that's healthy, right? So I was able to talk to judges after this because I was like, hey, a lot of people call me an idiot. I don't want to be an idiot. I do want to have some sort of procedure though, because we have to come to an end. Like, what is the best thing? And there was a wonderful person named Josh. He's a judge that's in the Mox Masters Discord. He's like, hey, like, this is what you got to do. And so we redid our sudden death, which is really in line with 2.4, like the MTR 2.4, which is this life total sudden death. But we utilize cards in hand and permanents in play as the hierarchy. So it's one of those two. And then if there's a tie, we go to the other. And if there's a tie there, then we'll go to life totals. But this is like really in line with the most common like things that we would see in a person who's winning the game in Commander. Like, they had the most cards in hand. It makes sense. They had the most permanents in play. It makes sense. And it's objective. We can count that.
And the game has to end somehow. The game has to end.
Yeah, exactly. The game has to end. Yeah. Outside of that, there's 4 different like styles that we are interested in trying regarding how we do sudden death, or not sudden death, but how we end games. And there's a few of them that I'm like, I just want to try it, see how it goes. One of them is reduce commander lethal damage to 11. So that could be a viable like way to win. One of them is everyone gets a 30-minute chess clock, and like it's not a priority clock, it is a talking clock. So you push the button when you talk, and then like you have the button until someone else like talks. They have to say something, and they have to take the button back. Like it'd be really like interactive like thing. It'd be really challenging to do online, but there's just like a lot of things that I want to like at least try, because we have to see what works, what doesn't work. I know in Japan they have a really cool way to deal with like draws and how they deal with like points, but I think it's more for like larger scale tournaments. I need something that's specific to like this 16-person single elim.
Yeah, I think if you don't try anything, then we don't find out anything. It is really what it comes down to. You have to try things, and having the, for lack of a better word, balls to try some things is exactly what we need in this community. And my biggest problem with the way that whole thing went down was just like the mean-spiritedness of some of it, where people really were shitting on you for the sake of shitting on you. And that I took issue with. And I think it's important for people to respect the effort and say, like, even though I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot all at once. And it doesn't matter. The fact is, until you start trying these things, you're not going to figure out what works. So someone's got to take that leap, and you're the one doing it. Rather than shitting on you, I think people should be like, hey, thanks for thinking outside of the box a little bit.
Yeah. It's also important to recognize that as TOs, we have to try and make it better for the players' experience. That's like I think that's my biggest thing with TOing events is making sure the player experience is fun. For people who come to the Fishbowl, if you came to Fishbowl 1 and you went to Fishbowl 5, you probably had a very different experience at Fishbowl 1. Like, it was much smaller. We didn't have nearly as many things, but I cared about people's feedback. I literally, everything people said, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to make it better. Get better judges. That was a big one. Get better judges. Okay, got better judges. Okay, get a better venue. We want air conditioning. We want more bathrooms. Okay, keep telling me because I want you to want to play. And I think with like Mott's Masters, it's the same thing, right? We want you to want to play, and we want you to have a good time, and we want you to feel like, wow, you like today in Mott's Masters, we had the finals game, and if you don't watch like streams on a regular basis, this was one that sucked to miss because an Emrakul got cast. There was that Ugin, the 7-mana Ugin that, like, whenever you cast a not colorless spell, you exile a thing that has one or more colors. That resolved. There was Void. There was a Sire of Insanity on board. It was nuts. There was like so many things, and these were different players that were on these different things. It was incredible. It was such a good game. But like, I want that. I want people to be able to come and experience like the Wild West of cEDH and feel supported and have a rule set that they can understand and that they can play knowing that there is like some competence behind it.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think it dovetails perfectly into what we have to talk about next, which is the drama of this past weekend, which is we see what happens when you can't end the game, right? And I'm sure everybody, if you're watching this and you don't know what happened, I don't know how that's possible. Where have you been? Like, are you living under a rock? I don't know, dude. But yeah, we had an 11 and a half hour final in Salt Lake City last weekend. Just mind-boggling, but just appropriate considering the fact that we were just sitting here trying to figure out how to end games. And sure enough, a couple of weeks later, you have this 11 and a half hour game.
I couldn't watch it because it's 11 and a half hours, but I did catch some good glimpses. One of the things that I think people struggle with when it comes to this type of meta is, and this is like my worst nightmare, like where you have a bunch of triggers anytime anyone does a thing. Like,
yeah.
Play a card, 7 triggers. That to me is a game that's not ending. That to me is a game that's gonna go the distance. And it reminds me of when I first started playing Magic. I used to play in these big pods of 7 or 8 people. And when we would do that, those games would go all night. We'd go to play one game. Like, yeah. and now that was it. It was like the entire night was one game. And it reminded me of these games that we played until 1 in the morning. But we were just having fun. And there was no money on the line. If there was money on the line, people were taking it serious. People were paying attention to every trigger. Yeah, just this one. Every spell caught takes 10 minutes to resolve. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it reminds me of this. I remember playing like Axis and Allies in my dorm room when I was in college and playing for 2 days straight. Where like we'd play until we got too tired and fell asleep, and then wake up the next day and get right back to it. That's what it reminds me of.
Exactly what it is. Yeah.
But and the way that game played out was, like you said, there were triggers for everything. But on top of that, people were trying to make deals for every trigger. So if I let this trigger resolve, then you do X, and this constant negotiation and back and forth that just drew out the game to the nth degree. I think on some level, though, I think it was mismanaged. I think the game itself was very much mismanaged because there's no way the judges should allow at that point that much deliberation over every action. At some point, you have to start going, hey, player A, you have priority. Make a decision now. And if you don't make a decision, here's a GRV. And next person, you have priority. You don't make a decision, GRV, and you'll find you start giving out those GRVs, all of a sudden the game starts rolling. People can't negotiate over every trigger anymore.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of tournament style EDH and on Discord and stuff. And I noticed that like everyone wants like perfect information whenever they do anything. They want to make deals for every single thing. And that involves a lot of trust in your opponents, which to me doesn't feel like good Magic.
No.
It is necessary, so you're trying not to king make. That's like the goal here. But at the same time, everybody's trying to win. Everybody has a cEDH deck at the table, right? Everyone's trying to win. I noticed that like when I'm playing, I'm much more protective of what I'm doing. And if someone wants to like, okay, put a tutor on stack. What do you grab with a tutor? There's a tutor on stack. Counter it, don't counter it. Whatever you want to do, man. It's your choice.
Yeah, and not only that, but you set a tone when you do that. Because up to that point, everyone's negotiating over everything, and you're like, wait a minute. No, let's stop that. Let's not do that anymore. I'm not going to negotiate. I'm casting this tutor, and you got to make a decision, and I'm not going to give you any information. And that changes the tone of the whole table at that point, because now everyone has to pick that up and go with it. Because are they going to be the ones giving information, and you're not? They don't want to be that guy. So all of a sudden, the whole tone of the table changes, right?
There was a player that said something that like really blew my mind recently. He played a Cabal Therapist. And I was like, that was an interesting part. He's like, yeah, you'd be surprised how many people just start flashing cards for no reason. Like in games. They're like, I don't have anything, and they'll show a card. And I'm like, that's right. People be doing that. Like a lot now. Cabal Therapist, I feel, has stock. I feel like that is hard.
They're basically like, don't use it on me. Here's my hand.
Yeah. Don't use it on me. And they're like, okay, you have Underworld Breach. Okay, yeah. Cabal Therapist, name Underworld Breach. Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot.
That's wild, man. That's wild. Yeah, I could see that, though. I could absolutely see that happening.
It's crazy. It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to like these 11-hour games, something that I had mentioned to a friend, another TO, was like, if I was in a TO space and I had finals that was going 5+ hours. At the 5-hour mark, especially if I'm paying for the venue, if this was at Fishbowl, I pay for the venue hourly. So I'm telling the players, hey, we're at hour 5. We pay for this hourly, and this game is going way longer than expected. So the remaining hours that this goes on, I will be deducting the hourly rate of this venue to the prize pool.
Damn.
And see what the players do. Like, hey, you guys want to put a draw on, or you guys want to lose X amount of dollars an hour? So
I still like my solution. My solution is just get some Carolina Reaper peppers and have every player start eating them until everyone concedes. And there's only one man standing. That's the one
man standing. Yeah. No. And obviously I'm being facetious, but I wanna put a fire, like, hey, and I think you have to have the right judges to like who don't care about being the bad guy. Baldy's a good example. If I was like, Baldy, I need you to start doing GRVs for these timings, please. He's like, oh, bet. Yeah, let's go.
I even talked to him about it when I was at the Heisenberg, because we were talking about the 20-minute rule that they have now, where basically at the end of time you have 20 minutes and then the stack clears and it's a draw. And I'm like, my concern is that what happens if someone tries to draw that 20 minutes out by using pointless interaction? He's like, wait till I start giving out GRVs and watch that stop. You're like, it'll be fun. It's like, oh, okay. You're not fucking around. Yeah.
I also think that because we don't have a judge academy anymore, judges don't have the opportunity to expand their skill sets. To like, how do we deal? This is something they would cover in like a conference, like a judge conference. It would say, hey, in cEDH, this is a big problem. How do you deal with this as a judge? Because confidence is a big issue, right? This is a confidence in a judge, like in themselves, to be able to be like, all right, this is slow play. You have a GRV. I'm sorry. This is just how it is. Because the players were like, no, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. And the other side of this whole situation, though, is a lot of people are angry at particularly Gold Sabertooth. They're accusing him of basically saying that he was bullying and being inappropriate with the way he was pushing actions and delaying on his own actions. And I didn't see that happen per se, but I didn't watch that much of it. But I will say this, is I really believe that in a game like that, you really have to cut everyone some slack, because when you're playing for 11 hours like that and you're clawing and scratching and trying to fight your way through what must have been absolute fucking hell in terms of board state, the gloves come off and people do things and say things and become less cognizant of feelings, and it just becomes a lot more difficult. So I really believe that regardless of how it appeared, you got to give people slack. And we know Tim, we know Gold Sabertooth. He's a pillar of the community. He's done a lot for a lot of people. I'm going to be real hesitant before I condemn him and cancel him or whatever, any of that stuff. He's too good a guy to give up on him based on an 11-hour game.
I will say this because normally I try to not pick a side on a lot of things, but Tim is a fucking good ass dude. He is solid as a rock. And if he was a little like unsavory after playing Magic for 11 and a half hours straight, mind you, and this is just the game itself, right? This isn't taking into account he probably was playing Magic or working for 48 hours straight, right? And at the end of that, like long 36-hour shift that he did, he played an 11-hour game. I don't know. He's always been a straight up dude with me, and I've seen him in high stress games that took a long time, and even at the end of those games, he was still pleasant to be with. The players that at the end of the game, like they all shook hands. No one was like real bitter. Like everyone seemed to be fine. I don't know. I think that there's a narrative that like Tim was being awful. Again, and I'm in the same boat as you. I have not seen, so I'm playing a little bit from ignorance, but it's a hard pill for me to swallow.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything other than
Tim is a sweetheart, man. He's one of the sweetest guys you'll meet. Really a genuinely good human being. And the other problem here is when you have a game like this, where the judges aren't really taking control and making things happen faster, like from a competitive perspective, you are incentivized to talk and fight and claw and scratch and politic in ways that you normally would not, because otherwise you're giving up advantage that you could have. The fact that they allowed it to play out like this creates a situation where people are going to behave in ways that we don't like, that we don't want to see.
Yeah, and then people are talking about this 11-hour game thinking that like Tim was the only reason why the game went so long. Like other players had things, they had to go on meal breaks and call their loved ones to tell them they were going to be home late. There was like a lot of like extra delays that things happen, that things just happen. I do want to put out there that like the game did end to time because they agreed to a timer, but when the game went to end, the end board, I don't know if you know about the end board state, but Tim had a Born Upon a Wind on the stack.
I didn't know that.
He had a win like ready to go, and he's the one that got cut on time. So there is a lot of context that probably gets lost, and the people in general who want to see the world burn lit it on fire. They're like, all right, let's. It's for people who are into drama and into this kind of like thing and like setting like rage bait traps. There was a lot of them. A lot of like people who are upset and were making Tim to be the person that he's not.
I agree 1,000%. And you know, I reserve the right to be wrong if the video eventually comes out and I'm like, oh my God, Tim, what are you doing? But even then, let's say even if that happens, even if it comes out that he was acting in a way that's not great, I think we've all had moments like that. I think we've all had times where we behaved in a way that we'd rather, you know, erase from history. That happens to all of us. And I really think that everyone needs to put their pitchforks down, take a deep breath, and give everything a beat and move on. And there was a lot that went wrong here that we need to learn from, no question. This cannot be the way forward, but we don't have to go and obliterate people behind a keyboard to solve that problem. That's not the way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so moving on to the next piece of drama, we had Temujin win the Land Go Invitational, which is, to me, extremely problematic. And for those that don't know, Temujin in September back in 2024 was caught cheating in a tournament in Colorado, I believe, where what he was doing was he had a Mystic Remora in play, and every time Mystic Remora triggered, instead of drawing a singular card, he would draw 3. And he did this on camera multiple times over and over again. So some of the most blatant cheating I've ever seen. And the worst part is it gets to the very end of that video and you see him realize that he's on stream and this is being recorded, and you watch him freak out. Right. So blatant cheating. And in my mind, when you do something like that, there needs to be instant consequences. But rather than there being any kind of instant consequences, he was playing in another tournament literally 14 days after that one, after he was caught. And then he went on to play in another tournament in February, and then another tournament a few months after that. And then here he was playing at the Invitational and winning the whole thing.
The biggest thing about this, at least for me, is when there's cheaters at like in the Pro Tour, they're named cheater and they're banned. They aren't banned forever, but they are given like a timeout. And cEDH, because we're not one like circuit, right? We're not like one big thing. There's no like accountability. Oh, I can't play in top deck events. That's bad. I'll play in non-top deck events. I'll play in these smaller events. I'll play in large events with other TOs that don't know who I am. Like, it's so easy. I'll just change my name. What? Yeah. So there's so many like ways around it because of the lack of unity in terms of a circuit. But like, that's so brutal. That's so brutal. There was a person that said, because he's really skilled in making it look like he's just doing a normal action with his hands. Like, I watch videos of him, and I also like sleight of hand, like Magic and Magic the Gathering just goes hand in hand. And so
it's a skill. It's a cool skill. It really is.
It's a cool skill, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw him doing it, I was like, I saw something. I was like, something doesn't look right here. Like, you're doing like a flick thing that isn't a normal thing you do when you like pick up cards. And then I remember I like saw something, and I could have sworn it was like, there's no way he's doing like a force slip or something. He's not doing anything real. And then he was manipulating his deck. And I was like, oh shit, this guy is like.
It looks like he's done it before, right? It doesn't look like, oops, I'm just going to randomly now, as an opportunity moment, start drawing extra cards. So it looks like this is something he's done before. He's practiced before. And if you talk to him about it, I think he'll deny it and say that I've never done something like this before. But that's really the fundamental problem with cheating, is maybe he's never done it before. But there's a zero chance any of us can look at him and be like, oh, I'm confident that he's never done it. In the back of your mind, you're going to question every game he's ever won in any tournament ever. It's just there. That question mark will be there forever. And that taints the game because it spreads from him to other people where you're like, do people cheat in my pause at tournaments? Probably. They probably have. And I probably didn't even know. And that hangs over the entire format for everyone. And the problem is, like you said, we don't have a centralized body. We don't have some governing body that can say, oh, this person was caught cheating. Here's the penalty. They shall be penalized. It will last this long, and then we'll reinstate him at some point in time. That doesn't exist. So the responsibility falls to all of the TOs to have to take that on. And you're a TO. You know every cheater who's ever cheated in cEDH? Absolutely not.
I do know now they have a red little thing next to their name, and
that's all. That's another conversation too. Yeah. But yeah, you don't know. You can't know. And I talked to Wayne. Wayne is the guy who runs the Land Go. Wayne, by the way, is a fucking treasure to this community and must be defended at all costs because he's one of the engines that's going to make this format grow and thrive. And when you talk to Wayne was like, he came up to me. He was very honest about who he was and what his background was. And it didn't seem like that big a deal. It was like, this guy clearly is a good person and knows what he's doing, and it doesn't make sense to ban him if nobody else banned him all this time. Which I can see where he was coming from. I don't agree at all with that decision. I think as soon as he knew he was a cheater, he should have said, nope, sorry, you can't compete. But I can see where a TO would have a hard time with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that this might be a hot take. Most people feel confident in their competence. And I think that when we hear someone is a cheater and they're like playing the tournament, and this is like a really common defense today. They didn't do it in my tournament, so I don't know, we'll keep an eye on them.
Cannot.
Right. And so I think that we have to, as a community, when someone is caught cheating, provide them like feedback, like, hey, you're unfortunately going to be like marked as a cheater for the next 6 months. You have a cheater tag for the next 6 months. You won't be able to play in a tournament for 6 months, and then after the 6 months is up, you can play in tournaments again. But like maybe even at the end of the 6 months, you talk to the TO who gave you the tag or who whatever happens, and be like, hey, like I really thought about this. I feel a lot of remorse. Or they might be like, I wasn't cheating, and they might stick to the story. And if that's the case, that's the case. But there has to be some sort of long-lasting, impactful like thing that happens.
And it needs, in my mind, it needs to be pretty catastrophic for the person who cheated. I don't think 6 months is enough. I think it needs to be significantly longer than that, because it's got to be so painful for them that the cheating wasn't worth it. And if they go to a tournament and they end up doing well in that tournament and winning money and winning prestige, and then they get caught and they only have to take 6 months off, I don't think that's enough. I think it needs to be more severe than that. The number I keep hearing right now is that people are saying 18 months being the sort of the minimum, and I'm okay with that. Initially, when this first happened, I even tweeted about it. I'm like, just ban me for life. If I ever get caught cheating, if I ever cheat in Magic in cEDH, just ban me for life and put me out. But then after that, I talked to a couple of people I know who did cheat and really talked to them and how for them, cEDH at a really high level is just not a thing anymore. But they still want to be able to play and have it be an escape at some point in their life. So there needs to be a redemption possibility somehow. At some point, you can't just throw these people away and shame them forever. But there needs to be significant penalties for this.
I definitely think it should be escalating, right? I think it should be like maybe even a 3-strike rule, because I get it, it sucks. But at the same time, there are people who are doing worse things than drawing an extra card, right? That are like giving away less like punishment. And so for me, I think like we have to be realistic. So if the first offense, okay, we caught you cheating, you get a 6-month ban. Okay, you come back after 6 months, you got a taste of what a ban feels like. It sucks. And then you play again, you get caught cheating again, then it's 18 months. Right, it's like
see, for me, I'm much harder core than that. For me, it's you get caught cheating once, it's 18 months. You get caught a second time, lifetime ban, done. 2 cheating.
Yeah, see, I think like 18 months is long enough for you to be so significantly out of the scene. It's like to not be able to play like in tournaments if you were like hardcore into it. You probably aren't going to play in tournaments again.
Maybe not.
You're not going to be like itching, but I could be wrong. But with all that said, I do feel like if there was like footage of Temujin playing, I would be highly interested in watching it with a forensic lens to see if there was any foul play. And if there wasn't, then great. Good job on Temujin for winning. If there was, though, you got to get back to Black Lotus.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb here and say I don't believe he cheated in this tournament. And the problem I have with this whole situation on some levels is I've met Temujin a number of times. I've played with him in a few games. I've talked to him on Discords. Great guy, great player. On a personal level, I believe that he has no intentions of cheating ever again. I believe that. I believe him, but that can't matter. Like my personal feelings about Temujin can't matter. It has to be uniform. It has to be, if you cheated, this is the penalty, period. Otherwise, you get to really dangerous situations where some people get away with it and some don't, which is exactly what happened here. Is you have multiple cheaters over the last few years, all of whom were banned and pushed out of the community. And then you have Temujin as this big, bright exception where he somehow managed to avoid that, that axe and continues to play. It's not good. It's not good. Yeah. So
he has this big thing on his name at the top deck. So see.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? What do you think about that? So basically what happened is EDH top 16 went and basically Scarlet lettered known cheaters, where they put, it says in big red type, cheater next to their name in any results in any tournament. And he set it up right now where it expires after 18 months.
I like that, as a consistent way to identify people who have been tagged as cheaters. I don't know. It's like like it has to be verified, I think. I think if in order to get the tag, I think it has to be like, okay, this judge caught this person cheating, this TO caught this person cheating, and then it be verified by like another person, like another group. That way it can't just be, oh yeah, Tom, who's a jerk, he always has good hands, so he must be cheating. We don't know how he's doing it, but we know he's cheating. And then like that TO could be petty, it could be small, like from some hobunk town in wherever, and like all of a sudden this guy is a bad dude when they may not be if there's no real good investigation.
Yeah. And then in this case, and like in Temujin's case, they actually did a full video investigation, and the evidence is blatant. But there are plenty of examples where that's not the case. And it's real dangerous to go and label people when you don't really have definitive proof.
Yeah. You know? I don't know how Top Deck handles that. I like the intention here. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good because it mirrors what WotC does, right? Like they have a big name and they'll put a full name out there. Hey, this person, they're a cheater, they're banned, whatever, and it's big. It'll be on like Wizard's website.
Yeah, I think where it was an issue in this case was, I'll say his name, Nilstan. So Nilstan he played Safi Eriksdotter, and he got caught cheating, I think 2 years ago now, or 18 months ago, a long time ago, a few years back. And since that time, he's really done a lot of work to own what he did, to apologize for it, admit to it. And he's done a lot of work in the community to TO and try to work his way back into the good graces of the community. So here he is 2 years later, and EDH Top 16 goes and brands Temujin with the cheater tag, and immediately Twitter erupts and says, what about Nilstan? Why aren't you tagging Nilstan too? And at that point, they went and slapped him with the red label as well. And he's, oh my God, here I am 2 years later, and I feel like we're right back where we started, and it's humiliating and it's painful, and et cetera, et cetera. And on some level, you're like, you cheated, so tough shit. But on the other hand, you're like, he really has worked for some redemption here. And is it really fair to go and obliterate him again as a byproduct of Temujin getting to play?
He served his time. I wouldn't hit him with that. Like he did it. And it, like, even using like Top Deck's 18-month thing, he's done it. That was 2 years ago. I don't see that in here.
Yeah, so EDH Top 16 went and cleared him. So they went and took that off after the fact. So I think that all's well that ends well, I think. But we have not come anywhere close to solving this problem at this point. There's still no central body to deal with this. And at some point, we have to figure this out, or this will become a bigger problem.
I think, I don't want to be involved. I'm just gonna put that out there now. I don't want to be involved. But what I think needs
volunteering,
to happen,
guys. He's volunteering. He's going to take care of it. Yeah, go on.
I'm not doing it. I believe that there needs to be and the Top Deck did something very good. And the thing that they did very good was create something that people wanted to be a part of, which was the Top Deck circuit, right? If there was one thing that they did, not only brought Mantower, which I think is a fantastic piece of software, but the ability to cultivate a community that everybody wants to be a part of. And like, it is worth Top Deck points. That's like a common question. Is this a bronze event? It's a gold event, right? Yeah. And like that being a centralized body, it already exists. It's already there. And the fact that it's probably going to go away after this year, which is really unfortunate. But like, it would serve because everyone's already utilizing the software, everyone's already speaking the language. And if all TOs like really co-opted into it, there could be like a solid like table, right, where people are like coming together and making decisions as a group to be like, all right, to better cEDH and tournament cEDH, specifically tournament EDH, we are going to abide by these standards, not necessarily making new rules, but just standards on how do we punish cheaters, how do we deal with draws, how to, these like issues that are really plaguing tournament EDH, that this body could help solve, because it's not a commander panel issue, right? They have other things to worry about. They have bans and shit like that. I'm talking about how do we deal with organizing tournaments,
Right.
specifically. So,
And there's a lot of people who are looking to step up into that role. Wayne from Land Go being one of them. I've heard this whole Steel City Spectacular event that's going on also presents an opportunity for some of that to happen. My worry is that we're going to get into sort of a Game of Thrones scenario where you have several big TOs step up and try to take the reins, and there'll be a little bit of a power struggle there before things settle out. I don't know. I don't know the answer, but
just know if this is Game of Thrones, I'm on the fucking wall, bro. I don't want to be in. Like, put me on the wall. I don't want nothing. I don't want.
It's fucking cold up there, dude.
I don't care.
I'll go up there, but only if I have some Dalwhinnie, and then I'll
yeah,
get on the
exactly.
wall.
Dalwhinnie, give me my fur, my Valerian steel broadsword, bro. I'm chilling. Like,
hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the weekend wasn't all bad. It wasn't all drama. I'll point out, Mardu won the Landgo Open, which was 270 players.
Very
so
cool. Very cool.
In the age of heuristic study, Mardu got it done.
Yeah, I've noticed games. Honestly, I have not felt the mid-range like hell that a lot of people describe recently. Maybe it's just where I'm playing. Like, games seem to be ending super quick. People are usually comboing off turn 2, turn 3, and I don't know. I feel like we're getting a little bit too fast for mid-range.
It's getting better. It's definitely getting better. I played in a tournament last weekend, and I top 4th. Pat myself in the back. Yeah, it was just a small one. It was 54 players, but I only had one draw, and it was a draw where at the beginning of the round we're like, "You want to draw?" And everybody said yes, and that was it. And every other game ended with a winner. Me, yeah, except for top 4.
Yeah,
definitely.
What were you playing?
TNT.
But it's really good.
But there's ways to force through wins that weren't there before. Like one of my favorite wins in that tournament was I crop rotation, got myself a Mistrise Village, and then used Mistrise Village to cast a uncounterable Ranger Captain, and then won the game through 3 heuristic studies.
Wow. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah.
I found games recently have been really fun. I think that I'm also currently playing decks that are really wonky. I like playing wonky decks in general, but like I have 2 decks that I'm playing right now that are like, well, 3 that are all like doing weird stuff, and they're cranking out wins. They're so
nice.
Good.
What are you playing?
Like,
come on.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm playing RogSi, and it's not on ad nauseum. It's on Necrologia.
Oh hell yeah! I love that card so much.
It's so good. So my thinking here is that I actually I don't want my CMC to kill me. Like in when I Naz, like I have to have a low CMC so I can Naz super far. But with Necrologia, I just draw 38 cards. And then I run a ton of instant speed enablers so that I can just go for it. I'm on Necrodominance, I'm on Necropotence. These cards are all, with all of the instant speed enablers in the deck, are just saying, hey, I just win the game. I'm also on like Shieldred, so that if I draw 30 cards, I just gain the life back. Yeah. And reminding you, I'm still in end step. I'm still technically in end step when I'm getting these cards. So like I can still instant speed cast Necrologia to draw the rest of my deck. So
she could like Necrologia, Born Upon a Wind, Underworld Breach, recast Necrologia, put Shieldred into play. Oh my god, that's disgusting, dude.
Yeah, so it's a lot of this stuff. I'm also on a lot of like copy spells. So I'm on every flare effect. I want every flare effect. So I'm on Fork, Reverberate, Increasing Vengeance. And the purpose of that in RogSi specifically is for me to cast a Jeska's Will and then flare the Jeska's Will. And then with the extra mana, reverberate the Jeska's Will. With the extra mana, fork the Jeska's Will. With extra mana, increasing vengeance. And then flash back the increasing vengeance. I want to just copy this and like just get 30 red mana and 15 cards. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, you're winning that game.
Yeah.
Drone Nas, but with mana built in.
With mana built in, yeah. So it's a wonky ROG list. It's doing a lot of weird stuff, but it's how I like to play. This different way to attack, and I was noticing I wasn't winning with Nas, and I think it's just probably I'm not that good of a Nas player, which is fine. I'll admit that. But
I think a lot of people are off Nas right now. A lot of people.
yeah.
Like I interviewed Kellen, who won with Mardu this past weekend, and he's off Nas as well. Same reason.
Okay.
Same reasons you're describing is the same reasons he's off it too.
Yeah. Necrologia, man, people should try it. It's a good card.
That's it.
Yeah, and what's cool about Necrologia is that people worry about dying to Bowmaster with Necrologia. Oh, I have all these Bowmaster triggers. I'm doing stuff at instant speed, so I don't really care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I die. Like,
Yeah, those pings are on the stack, and yeah, pings are on the stack. Okay, I'm gonna continue now. Is that good?
Is that
Yeah.
good? Cool. All right.
Yeah, we'll
sweet.
keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a Necrologia again. And then, okay, more pings. That's fine.
I
You
don't
know,
care.
those could be
Yeah.
there. Mark them on the stack. We'll keep going.
Yeah. So that's one deck. The other deck I'm running is Zimone Mystery Unraveler. And this deck, when I tell you, people are just not ready for what this deck does. It's because it's wonky. There's a huge brewer's advantage with this deck. And so I have, and if people don't know Zimone has Manifest Dread when landfall. So you landfall, you Manifest Dread, and then if you have a secondary land into the battlefield, you can flip a face down permanent face up. And so with this deck, what I'm finding is that I'm able to play Zimone, and it's so not threatening. People like don't care about it when they really should, because all it takes is for me to play one fetch, and you might lose the game on the spot. Like and because you can manifest cards and it doesn't use the stack. It's so crazy.
I gotta read her. I gotta pull her up again real quick here.
Yeah. Simic, landfall, manifest dread, and so you play stuff that the lines you can use to win in this deck. There's a creature named Eudora, and Eudora is a green creature that says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may take that creature and put it face down. It is a land card. Okay, so with Zimone, creature dies, comes back as a land, triggers Zimone manifest. Right? You manifest. Okay. The line here is if you have a creature that can sack itself, like Ticking Gnomes, which says sack itself, do 1 damage to any target. You sack it, comes back as a land, triggers Zimone, you can flip it face up and just go infinite there.
Oh,
right?
nice.
Or if you have a Phyrexian Altar, you can sack any creature and just make infinite mana. And then from there, you can sack Zimone and put her in the command zone, recast Zimone, and then you just manifest your deck.
Damn,
Like,
that's disgusting. So you got to share these deck lists with me, and so we can I put them in the description to the YouTube channel? Because
yeah, for sure.
last time, I forget the last deck you talked about. Everyone's like, "Where's his list?" I want his list. Where is it? I think it was the Turgid list. And everyone's like, "Where's the Turgid list?"
Turgid.
Yeah, so you got to share those lists so I can put them in the description. So we can.
So that deck, and then Vivi is the other deck. It's just like
Which one?
Vivi. It's the new Final Fantasy.
The new one. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna build that deck. I'm telling you, that's like the new hotness.
Okay, I have a friend. I'm gonna shout out Josh. His name is Josh. He is a super dope guy, amazing DM for D&D games. But he's on Vivi. He has like an 81% win rate with the deck right now. He has 70 games, I think, on it. It is unstoppable because the play pattern with Vivi is you cast Vivi and you literally just play anything and you're good to go. Like you just play Vivi, have free cards in hand. Just have free cards and have interaction, whatever you want, doesn't fucking matter. And Vivi just gets bigger immediately. It becomes, because Vivi comes in and it's so hard to deal with her because the second you cast a spell, she gets bigger and then you can use the mana that she makes immediately.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. She's so strong.
Yeah, the only downside is just the color limitation. It's just stuck in Is It, but there's so much good Is It.
It does not matter. Like you just literally play any.
One, it's got the win condition built in. It deals the damage each time. That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that you really just play Curiosity on her. If you cast Vivi and then you put Curiosity on Vivi, you win the game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how you stop that. Okay, draw 3, Vivi. Okay, to do 3 damage, draw 3, play counter spell, draw 3. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, I don't think people understand how cracked Vivi is.
Yeah, I might have to build it. I might have to build it. I scoffed at it. It's one of those commanders that everyone's going to build, and that makes me not want to build it. But I think I have to give it a shot. I have to.
I think it's Nadu. I think is it Nadu? I think it's going to be this. I guarantee in the first, because it's just because of how resilient it is. It's really hard to kill. You have to bounce it. It's harder to kill it. Like just to actually, you can't bowmaster it down. Like it gets so big so fast.
When you get the surprise grow. Oh, you're lightning bolting it. Oh, I guess I'll cast this brainstorm or something, and now it doesn't die. Cast any spell, it doesn't die.
Any spell, and it stays big. It's not like prowess.
Yeah, these are counters. These are counters.
+1/+1, which is crazy. It should have been prowess. If it was prowess, I wouldn't have been as mad. But like the fact that it just stays big forever, and then let's say you just cast it, and then you play some counter spells on your opponent's turn, and then you untap, and now it's a 7/7. You're like, all right, I have 7 mana.
Yeah,
sweet.
It looks amazing. Yeah, I'm building it. I'm definitely building it.
Yeah. So those are the decks that I think are really hot right now. I've been losing a lot to Dargo Timna.
That's what won. That's the deck, man. That's what won the whole thing.
Yeah,
deck is no joke, man. The deck is serious.
I guess
I played against it yesterday. I played against it yesterday, and he won on turn 2, and out of nowhere, he didn't have mana. He had nothing.
No. They don't need mana. They just need like garbage. It's funny, like they'll go turn 1 land Lotus Petal into one of their like creatures that when it dies it makes a treasure or something, and then they'll play Chalice on 0. You're like, oh. And then you can't do anything, and then their turn they'll like, all right, I'll sack the Chalice, sack my thing, sack my creature, make a treasure, sack the treasure, cast my dude, cast sacrifice, cast Peer into the Abyss, win the game.
Yeah. So he turn 2 Peer into the Abyss. I was like, what?
Exactly.
But you had 1 land. How did that happen?
That's what it does. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think Turbo is really strong.
It's coming back. It's coming back hard. It really is. It really is. One last topic before we call it for today, and that is one of the big problems that we don't talk about enough, I think, is the seat order problem. The fact that 4th seat has such a huge disparity in terms of win rate versus 1st seat. And I've heard lots of ideas about how to fix it, but no one's tried or implemented anything. Nothing. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
It's tough, honestly. I think that we can help remedy it with a scrying solution where like player in C4 gets like a scry 3 or something like that. It really comes down to the fact that when players are playing Magic and they're going first, we are subject to players being able to do a lot on their first turn and have no consequence. It's just how it is. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's crazy as it is, but if you're going first, you can't attack. Right? That's just like a part of the game. But Yu-Gi-Oh is unbalanced in its own ways. But there's no bad thing about going first. If you're going first, you're like, all right, turn 1, fish, I win.
Yeah, all right. It's ridiculous. I think we need to rip the Band-Aid off, and first player needs to stop drawing a card. Just do it. Just rip that Band-Aid off. Okay. We keep talking about it, but no one does it. Let's just do it. Rip that Band-Aid off.
First player, rip, no draw.
Draw. Done. And then the other idea I had was, if you're in 4th seat, every land in your deck works like a Gemstone Caverns. So really guaranteed...
so really you're going first, but you just did like land pass. Interesting. Okay, every land works as a Gemstone Cavern. That's a little crazy. I feel like you would have to make a stipulation.
You only get to do one. You only get to do one. You don't get to put 4 lands into play. You get 1. You can put 1 land in play like a Gemstone Cavern.
Yeah, but the lands are crazy. There are some crazy lands that you can put out as all lands. And I don't know about that.
Yeah, but I think I have to think about it. But I don't think there's any that are that crazy that would be worth putting into your deck just so you can try to gemstone it into play. I don't think there's anything that crazy, and I think that would give 4th seat a nice boost some of the time.
I think Cradle into play would be kind of nuts.
It would, but you still need to get creatures into play for it to really work.
Yeah, but there's some decks that are just like,
Barf creatures on the battlefield. Rogthras, right? Yeah, Rogthras would go nuts with that, wouldn't it? You know what? Actually, the ones that would be the worst is the depletion lands, right? Because you start with a land that produces 2 in play, and then you untap it on your turn, and then you have 3 mana immediately just with lands, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like Sandstone, I forget the name of them. But the ones that come into play tapped, and they get 3 depletion counters on it, and you remove a depletion counter, and you add 2 mana of that color instead of 1. And the downside of them is they enter tapped.
Yeah, that's the downside.
But if you put them into play tapped on turn 0, go to your turn, untap, have 3 mana. That's pretty disgusting. So or you could do, you put an Ancient Tomb into play as the gemstone effect, and then you play City of Traders, and then you play a turn 1/1 ring off of 2 lands. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Lands in there, if any land could be a gemstone. I love ChatGPT for this. This is happens when you're drinking this late at night.
Yeah, I'm feeling this whiskey. By the way, it's working.
This whiskey's
it's working fantastic. Nice. I'm gonna sleep really well tonight. I'm telling you that. Delicious.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey man, this was a pleasure as always. It's always a pleasure, man. And you get to pick the libation for next month.
I'm down. I like this. Big fan. Thank you, buddy. And actually, I just thought about it. Your rule for this would be a gemstone caverns, meaning that it would enter with a gemstone cavern like token. And
it only functions as a gemstone.
It only functions as a gemstone caverns. Okay, that's how we fix this. Okay, perfect. I'm good now. All right, cool.
Perfect. That's how.
Anyways, next month's libation. I'm gonna have to think about this. I'm really excited. This is a hard one to follow up. I like this one a lot.
It's a good whiskey. And you drink a lot of this, you get used to this, and then next thing you know, you can move to the real smoky stuff, and it starts tasting better. I'm telling you, it's the good stuff. It's the good shit. It's the good shit. But yeah, man, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your time as always, and hopefully everybody enjoyed another night of Whiskey and Magic on the Winnin' In podcast. If you liked it, like the video, subscribe, come talk on Discord, come hang out, and we'll see you next time.